repair video. And Mike W., this is your father, I believe's engine that you inherited and found recently. Thank you so much for giving me the privilege to go through it. This guy is got a couple things I noticed right away. Number one, it's been converted back here from a link coupler to a knuckle. The 302 AC had a couple different variants, and the earliest is actually a 4-piece cast metal or die-cast metal engine with the more elaborate side valve gear on that. And at some point down the road, I'll probably talk a little more about that. But this one would have come probably next in line. I'm guessing this is going to be somewhere around 1950 to 1952, maybe 53. But these metal ones do really nicely with traction. And with the 2 designation, you have a chuff or choo-choo and a smoke unit. These have the 4-plug yoke or harness on them, and then the reverse unit would be back here in the tender. They're kind of a, standard fare engine, but really good engines, and they pull really well. So if you are looking for a good engine that'll negotiate maybe some rougher track and do a good job for you, you want to check out a 302 with the cast metal or die cast shell. Now these do not have pull more tires on them, but they still do surprisingly well. If you want to look back at this link here from a few years back now, I did kind of a fun pulling test with different engines and was kind of surprised at what a 302 with a die cast shell will do. They pull shockingly well. So, all right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. Mike asked me to kind of go through it, service it, and I don't see any glaring signs of oh no kind of thing. Everything looks to be in pretty good working order. So you're missing your oil wick at the back, but screws seem to be all present and accounted for. You can tell that this engine's been disassembled a few times by the wear on the slot head screws there. Neither here nor there. It's got a little sheen to it, so it's had some good lubrication. Not a bad sign at all. And then let's go ahead and just take a quick exploration of the tender here. I do not believe these are the correct pickup wheels. I mean, they work, but I'm pretty sure they were brass originally. Maybe not, but I thought they were. But that's okay. The steel ones still work. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and put this on my little rolling road, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're back. Got it on the rolling road, have some power hooked up, and here, let's... Good. Hey. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of smoke and bring it right back. Well, I'm encouraged. It's it's pretty rare that I have an engine I have yet to do anything to that runs this well. The only thing I've seen so far that needs to be replaced is a burned out headlight bulb. It smokes, it chuffs, the reverse unit works, it goes in both directions, it goes actually faster forward than reverse, which is very refreshing. And so encouraged that this is going to be a cleanup job, a little bit of lubrication, and we'll see if we can get this guy tuned up to run even better. Thanks for watching. Bring you back when there's an update. Just wanted to bring back a little video clip here to show you I've got new fingers put on there, and I've cleaned the drum, cleaned the tender inside here. I've yet to do the bottom. So we got good rotation, and use a little bit of dielectric grease on that barrel, just to kind of help with the friction and then also the connection. I did see that there's just a little bit of a divot on the middle finger as I'm watching it spin, so that dielectric grease will kind of help with that. It's pretty minor, but just a little something just to help. All right, moving on. So I did find one problem. The front rivet here is so loose that the wiper can turn independently of the truck. And I thought, well, I'll just put a little dab of solder in there to tighten that up. It was an attempt, but it didn't help. So I unsoldered the wires on top. I'm going to take the reverse unit loose, and I'm going to re-ping this rivet, try to tighten that up from the top and the bottom. All right, so got that driven down tight, so you cannot move this without moving the whole thing. Have you ever seen those restoration videos where they're trying to restore a painting, and they're very carefully removing years of buildup off of it, and they discover the original color has been changed, or there's an original design that's been painted over or something. I just, in some small way, kind of felt like that as I was trying to figure out if there was going to be a date on this shell. All I could see was this OC was the only thing I could read, and there was a pretty good coating of grease and oil buildup, and so I kept gently cleaning it and wiping away. I've went through a couple little paper towels and Q-tips and whatnot, and there it is. It showed through 1951. So I don't know what the month was, October something, but 1951. So anyhow, there you go. Kind of fun to find that out. But that's when this engine was stamped and sent out from the factory. One other thing, since I've got you, you can see with this white wire here. So somebody's been in this thing to make a repair. Again, not a bad thing, but I always just like to see what I can see. And there's some other indications that I've had that this engine's got some miles on it. Again, it's been well cared for, so I don't see anything, worn out, falling apart, but just some of the buildup I've seen, for example, in the top of the shell here, that comes from the armature flicking off bits of oil, which I don't usually see that. So that tells me this engine was, number one, properly lubricated, so that's a good thing. And number two, had some good running to get that much oil and dirt flung up there. So all good, just some of the things I like to try to figure out about the engines I'm working on. Okay, back with a couple more observations, which again, this is what I like to do. Number one, you can see we've got some wobbling going on with the drive wheel. I noticed this when I first started it up, but wanted to look at that a little more closely. I'll see if I can't get some of that wobble taken out of the drive wheels. The other thing is, look at our commutator. It's in need of some spacing washers. So look at all the space there. I'm going to go ahead and shut it off here. But look at all that space. So if we add a couple spacing washers, it doesn't have to be that much, but if we can add just a little bit down here, then we get less of this back and forth motion. And what that does then is the springs that are in here get used less, and I would expect there's less wear on everything, just because you don't have that kind of flopping around going on all the time. So that's something else I'll do. I'll add a couple spacing washers for you, just to get that a little bit snugger. It'll still move some, but maybe not quite as much travel as you see now. I tried to get the bend out of the one driver. It was actually, let's see, it would have been the one on this side that had the biggest wobble in it. And I could get some of it out, but I just could not get very much. So I decided just to pull them both because they both had a wobble. I'm gonna work on flattening them out, truing them up for you before I put them back on. Just because, again, if we can get the wobble out of the wheels, that'll just keep the rest of this engine in better running condition over the long haul. Okay, back with a couple things. So I ended up taking both the rear wheels off, took them out to the lathe to check them for wobble. And they're not terrible, but one of them was actually a little bit flat. So I turned the tread, and there you go, you can see how it's kind of shiny there. So it actually was not in round. So I turned that, and then I quartered them and put them back together. Also added thrust washers, and not sure how well I can do this with cameraman and repair guy all at the same time, but so okay, there we go. That's what I wanted to show you. See, I put 2 thrust washers at the front of the armature. So this is as far as this guy can move now. So still, you want it to be able to move a little bit, but that's a far cry from what it was doing before. All right, we're back here with a little bit of an update. Now we're going forward here. And before, I don't know if you recall how much the armature moved around. You can see it's not moving much. Now if I give it more juice, you'll see it start to pulse a little bit. But that's as far as it's going. It's not able to the major motion that it did before. So the other thing I thought was worth showing you here is you can see there's still a little bit of wobble on the back sides of the wheels. Okay, they're not perfect. But notice what you don't see, which I was seeing before, is this thing was moving around. It was like hopping up and down. It was moving side to side, and so getting some of that hump out of the wheel, the drive wheel, really helped that out. I also got some of the wobble out of it. As you can see, I didn't get it all out, but got most of it. So welcome back. I've got your engine reassembled and cleaned, and let's go ahead and get it tested here on the rolling road. There you have it. Pretty nice looking engine, runs really well. As discussed previously, it does have some miles on it, and after getting it all put back together, I kind of noticed that a little bit, and the axles have just a little bit of play. The side gear has just a little bit of play in it, which is where you hear kind of a tiny bit of knocking on the rolling road here, but once it's on a layout, I don't think you're going to hear that at all. So let's do that next. Let's take it over the layout and get it on the rails. So here we go. So let's go ahead and get some cars hooked up here, and do a little bit of a pulling test. So one of the things I've noticed about your engine is you're not going to get smoke out of it until you see the headlight. So I find at around 13 to 14 volts, I start seeing the headlight, and then I start seeing the smoke. But because this is such a nice running engine, and because it runs at 7.5 volts, like it's doing right here, and able to pull this 16 car train. Now, bear in mind, with the exception of that tank car, these are all S Helper and American Models cars, so they have a lot less rolling resistance. But still, 7.5 volts is what it's doing right now and moving the train this quickly. I've got a little bit of a grade here, so I'm going to pick it up to about 9. Then take it back down to 7.5 volts. And here we go, just effortless. And as you can see, there's no headlight, so there's no smoke. Now, if I take it up to, like I said, 13 volts, you can see a headlight and you can see smoke. And of course, take it up to, let's say, 15 or 16. Let's just go to 15. And you're going to get better smoke. To the best of my knowledge, all the Flyer transformers do at least 15 volts, so you'll get good smoke out of it at the upper ranges. The other thing is, depending on how many cars you put on it, that'll create more of a load. And because this engine is so freewheeling and so smoothly operating, if it had a little bit more resistance on it, it would obviously smoke, I think, because it would take more amps. Don't know if any of that makes sense, but here you go. You got a great looking engine, and I hope you're happy with it for many years to come. I did a little bit of touch-up paint on it, and of course cleaned everything as I mentioned. The brushes look really good. They look like they've been replaced not too long ago, or it's not had much run time since the brushes were replaced. The springs look good. I checked the ohms on both the field and the armature. Those are both within specs. Of course, I polished the side gear here, and so it's nice and sparkly. Added a tiny bit of lubrication to it. Did your bell and your whistle on top as well. Put new fingers in the reverse unit, and not sure what else I can tell you other than, like I said, general cleaning of everything. So I hope you're happy with this engine. It's been a privilege to work on it. Thank you so very much, Mike, for sending it to me. And I hope it brings you and future generations countless years of enjoyment. Thanks so much.